Hello dear students, welcome back to your biology class, and today in this module you will learn about algae. Students, you must have seen a green slimy layer on the stones which are near the oceans, and this green layer is known as algae. So the algae are simple, thalloid, chlorophyll bearing autotrophic organisms. You can easily spot these algae on rocks and moist stones, marine and freshwater, as well as on wood. The form and size of algae is highly variable. The size ranges from microscopic unicellular forms like Chlamydomonas to colonial forms like Volvox and to the filamentous forms like Ulothrix and Spirogyra. Even a few of marine forms such as callips can form massive plant bodies. The alga can reproduce by vegetative, asexual and sexual methods of reproduction. The vegetative reproduction occurs through the process of fragmentation, where each fragment converts into a thallus, while the asexual reproduction occurs through the spores like zoospores. They are flagellated and germinate to form new plants. On the other hand, sexual reproduction occurs through the fusion of two gametes. These gametes can be of different sizes, so on the basis of size of gametes, sexual reproduction is divided into three categories: isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous reproduction. In isogamous reproduction, two gametes of similar size fuse with each other. These gametes can be flagellated like in the case of Chlamydomonas, or can be non-flagellated like in the case of Spirogyra. When the fusion of two gametes of dissimilar size takes place, it is known as anisogamous reproduction. On the other hand, if a large non-motile female gamete fuse with a small motile male gamete, then it is termed as oogamous reproduction.
Algae perform a wide variety of functions. They carry out carbon dioxide fixation and also increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate surroundings through photosynthesis. They produce energy-rich compounds that form food for aquatic organisms. Algae are also used for commercial purposes. For instance, agar, obtained from Gelidium and Gracilaria, is used to prepare ice creams and jellies. Based on the type of pigment and the type of stored food, we can classify algae into Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Chlamydomonas, Volvox and Spirogyra are some members of the class Chlorophyceae. They are commonly called green algae and can have a unicellular, colonial or filamentous body. Their cell wall is rigid as the outer layer is made of pectose and the inner layer of cellulose. The cell has several chloroplasts that contain pyronoids, structures that have starch and protein. In definite chloroplasts, you can find the localized pigments chlorophyll A and B that give the algae the color of green grass. Green algae can reproduce vegetatively through fragmentation and asexually by flagellated zoospores, as well as sexually. Phaeophyceae is another class of algae, and Ectocarpus, Dictyota, Laminaria are some of its members. These species, commonly termed as brown algae, are mostly found in brackish or salt water. they display a wide variety in form and size. For instance, Ectocarpus displays filamentous form, whereas kelps are profusely branched and can measure 100 meters in height. They also vary in color due to the varying concentration of the pigments xanthophylls and fucoxanthin. Apart from these pigments, chlorophyll A, C, and carotenoids are the other major pigments found in brown algae. Let's now take a look at the body structure and cellular structure of brown algae. The plant body consists of a frond, a leaf-like photosynthetic organ, and a stipe that functions as a stalk. The frond and stipe are attached to the substratum by a holdfast. The vegetative cells of brown algae have a cellulosic wall, which usually has an outer gelatinous coating of algin. The protoplast inside the cell has plastids and a centrally located vacuole and nucleus. Brown algae produce through fragmentation and asexually through biflagellate spores. On the other hand, in sexual reproduction, the gametes unite either in water or within the oogonium. Rhodophysae is another class of algae whose members include Polysiphonia, Gracilaria, and Gelidium. The members are often called red algae. The red color is due to a high concentration of the red pigment R. phycoerythrium. The thalli of red algae are multicellular, and food is stored as Floridian starch inside the cells. Red algae are found in brackish and salt water, and mostly in warmer areas. Red algae reproduce vegetatively, asexually through non-motile spores, and sexually through motile spores. Thus, we have seen that there are a variety of algae that thrive in the aquatic habitat. You have now reached the end of this module. In this module, you learnt that algae are simple, thalloid, chlorophyll-bearing autotrophic organisms found in fresh and marine water, moist stones, soils, and wood. Algae can be unicellular, colonial, or filamentous. Based on the type of pigment and the type of stored food, we can classify algae into Chlorophysae, Phaeophysae, and Rhodophysae. Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Spirogyra are some members of the class Chlorophysae. They are commonly called green algae. Class Phaeophysae includes Ectocarpus, Dictyota, and Laminaria. These species, commonly termed as brown algae, are mostly found in brackish or salt water. Rhodophysae is another class of algae whose members include Polysiphonia, Gracilaria, and Gelidium, often called red algae.